Well, here we go again with the next episode, Spilling the Tea in Studio D. I'm kind of thinking it's been a little while.
It has been a little bit.
But through the magic of TV, nobody knows that, or TV video, I should say.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Listen at me, TV like we're network stars or something.
I know I got to try to make it without coughing today. I'm going to try.
I know.
Got my cough drop in today.
I'm trying to think, as sick as you've been lately.
It's your fault. You brought all the germs up here and got all the whole office sick.
Eric, it's kind of like it's kind of like investing in a horse. I don't know if you keep putting medicine in her or put her down. So
Stop.
it's a
Stop.
tough call. So.
Tough call.
Yeah. So we're very delighted today. We've got Eric Lenox with us. Eric's from Hot Springs, so we'll let you kind of dive in here.
Okay.
And while we do here, just ask you to tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay.
Growing up.
Growing up.
Schools.
And what brought you to your current position? Because you got a little bit of a different path.
Yeah.
So do I. So,
I do.
I always enjoy folks coming in and telling us how they got to education. So jump on in there.
Of course. Well, first off, I'm a huge fan of the podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember seeing you guys outside of the district building, and I was like, I love your podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
And next thing you
Best
know,
guest.
I get to be a guest.
Ever.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome. So I grew up in Hot Springs. I'm born and raised. Well, born in El Dorado, raised in Hot Springs. I did all my schooling at Hot Springs, in the Hot Springs School District.
That's awesome.
Absolutely loved my time. I played football, baseball, very involved, which I'm doing now, Leadership Hot Springs, but I did the youth edition.
Okay.
And I say loved every minute of my schooling in the Hot Springs School District. Had a lot of support, had a lot of models to look to.
Awesome.
Who some now I work with, some are retired, some have since moved on, but at any moment I could pick up the phone and call.
Right.
So I went to the original plan was to go to Louisiana Tech and try to be a walk-on, be a walk-on football player. But around July-ish, I got a scholarship offer to a school called Bacone College in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Real small school, NAIA school.
Right.
They've since canceled the football program, but best 4 years of my life.
Right.
At Bacone College. Got a chance to play football, be around some great guys, stay involved.
Right.
I was a student government president for 3 years. Got to learn a lot, got to get mixed in with the faculty, and I had high hopes after I graduated. Of course, like everybody else, of course, you're the golden boy, at golden boy on campus, and you would hope, okay, after I graduate, you got to have something for me. You got to have some type of job, some type of work for me. And they said, we don't. So, what do I do? What do I do now? So I went to a job fair at the University of Tulsa. University of Tulsa, all the jobs were, telemarketing and marketing. My background is in exercise science.
Right.
There's no job for me here. But it was at the I can't think of the name of the Coliseum, but it was at the arena where they play in Tulsa, and the weight room is directly below. The weight room is directly below the arena. It's in the same place. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance.
Right.
So I went down and I talked to some of the strength coaches that were down there. Hey, do you guys have any internships? Do you guys have any just anything that I can do? I'm looking for a job. None of the jobs that I went up for, they're just not for me. That's not what I want to do, especially with the degree I just got.
Right.
And he said, well, yeah, we got something for you. Yeah,
right.
Give me your email. And he shot me back an email, and we went through all the stuff, and I ended up doing a summer internship with University of Tulsa.
Oh, wow.
And it was a great time. Great few months. Learned a lot from a lot of great people. A lot who's moved on in the profession. So the coach, his name was Adam Davis. He went from Tulsa to Missouri. And then another guy, Ryan Horn. Ryan Horn went from Tulsa to Wake Forest, and now he's one of the top consultants, one of the top guys in the business. So I learned a lot from those guys, and just being around some athletes now who some went on to the NFL, some are just working and just building those relationships. It taught me a lot. And so after the internship was over, it's time to come home. Party's over. Now it's time to come home. What are you going to do?
Right.
Well, Ma said, well, you need a job. You need to find something to do because you can't stay with me forever, right? And then eventually, so I said, I'm going to do something with this degree. So I started personal training, which I still do to this day.
Oh,
Right.
That's awesome.
So I started off training, of course, you start off, you hang out at the gym, you meet people, you prospect people, you shake a lot of hands.
Right.
Hey, I'm Eric. Nice to meet you. I'm a trainer here. If you have any questions, anything I can help you with, please just let me know. You know, and you try to build clientele from there.
Right.
The problem is Hot Springs isn't the biggest market for personal training unless you're solidified.
Right.
You know, and it takes time to build that clientele. So I do that straight for a few years. I get into a little bodybuilding, and that's kind of what I enjoy. I enjoy doing
Yeah.
it. Worked alongside Richard Webb. I don't know if you know Richard Webb and Big John out at the Hot Springs Health and Fitness. So I've been everywhere. So I've been Hot Springs Health and Fitness, the old Sunbay Hot Springs Athletic and Racket Club, the Y. So I'm still at the Y, but like I say, I'm in all the gyms. So it started there, and then, you know, hey, you know, you're not making very much money. What are you gonna do? You need to, and throughout this time, she told me, you need to go take your praxis. You need to go take your praxis.
Right.
Hey, you take your praxis yet?
This is your mom?
Hey, you need to try to take your praxis. Hey, you need to try to take your praxis. And it's over and over and over and over and over. And I have no interest in teaching.
Right.
I ran from it. I said, I'd never be a teacher. This ain't what I want to do. I'm not that guy.
Right.
Get somebody else to do that. I'm not that guy. And then, of course, she was the director at ALE at the time. And she kept, you need to take your practice. You need to do something. You need to do something. So I started subbing. And then I got hired on at ALE. Probably the biggest single blessing of my life, just being in ALE, because you get to see it from the other side.
Yep, and build those relationships for sure.
And it kind of molded how I deal with kids today.
Right.
Because it's always something. It's
Yeah.
always something.
Yep.
So I go from there.
And you were hooked at that point. Huh?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, let me dial it back. 'Cause it didn't just happen through ALE. I started. A teacher that I had in school, she had ended up passing away, and I got to fill her position as a technology.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Technology sub, and
Right.
went from a technology sub to a paraprofessional, special education paraprofessional when they hired somebody at Langston, which is where I'm at now.
Right.
I served my time there as a paraprofessional, and then I got hired on full time at the ALE. And then from ALE, once that dissolved, I went from ALE to a special education teacher at Hot Springs, was junior academy, but it was middle school at the time.
Right.
And I taught special education math, resource math, dealt with all the IEPs and all that good stuff, and I did that for a while. And then I said, you know what? Why not? Like, why not throw my name in the hat? Why not go get my admin license? Like, why not? I'm coaching football. I'm coaching wrestling at the time.
Right.
And I was just like, I love what I do, but why
Right.
not? Like, I got, it's kind of one of those deals like, well, I started here, and then I got here, and then I got here.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right.
Like, why not? Give it a shot. So, and I did. So I did, and I applied. I got my license. I applied, and they hired me. And I've been here this is my third year. So
As principal?
well, yeah, assistant principal. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Mhm.
assistant principal.
So awesome.
That's where we're here.
But see, and to me, you hit on something that, and I say this a lot, but I think that's a defining moment in all leaders' lives, right? Because everybody thinks it. I mean, you get that pivotal point, and you ask yourself, I mean, you go from what if to what the hell, right?
Right.
And there are a lot of folks that won't take that step,
Right.
because that that fear of failing, and we all know everybody fails.
Right.
Everybody fails, and it's what you do after that, right?
True story.
And I mean, you fail forward and you march on. But I think it's been interesting. I've been in it. Well, I should say we started at the same time, and you can tell working with Candace has aged me tremendously. But through the years and watching some of these folks, and it kind of peaks and valleys of as far as folks really, wanting to step up and step in, but in education right now, definitely, I see it as a time of need for folks like you that are willing to take on that challenge, because there's not a whole lot of great ones out there, and I don't mean that derogatory. That's just it is what it is, statement.
Yes, sir. And and going back to failure, a lot of people don't know that this failure journey that we talk about. Like I lived that. Like,
Right.
Like if I counted and I actually calculated at one time, I probably spent maybe $2,000-ish on practice test alone.
Yeah.
That's how many times I had to take it. And like you don't quit. Like I come, luckily I love my mom to death, my mom and dad to death, because whatever you start, you're gonna finish.
Yep.
Right.
And I ended up finishing, no matter what it took.
Right.
I cried a few times. I was fine.
For sure.
You're
Yeah.
fine. Just get it done.
Yep.
And,
Right.
and eventually it all works out for you. So it has.
Yeah. And it's so funny because again, career 2 for me, and radio was going to be my life, and it's definitely in some of the larger markets, sure, but I'm a Hot Springs guy. I wanted to come back home. That's where family is. It was fun, like I said, as a single guy, but when you get married and start thinking about a family, you get tired of eating them pork and beans. You know what I'm saying?
Grilled cheese.
So I tell all these people that whine about, teacher pay, hey, you're looking at a guy that got into education for a pay raise. I did do it for the money. So, but I wouldn't have had it any other way.
No.
It's kind of like old Garth Brooks songs. You may have missed the pain, but I wouldn't have missed the dance for anything, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of folks have that story, but I think about those lessons that I learned along the way. There are several people in my path in radio that taught me, that exactly what I talked about. The what if concept, and hey, you're going to run into stuff and it's going to knock you flat of your butt. But the key determination is going to be how you get up and how you respond.
Yes, sir.
That's true.
And so by learning that message and getting into, I taught and coached for 4 years and then got into admin, but being able to, to work with young people and set them on that path early, and especially probably in, like you say, with those ALE kids. I mean, here you are, a guy, didn't necessarily go into teaching for teaching, but they see you as a success story, right? And some of these kids, it's like, pulling teeth to get them to school, but here they are looking at you and say, hey, look, this guy can do it, and this guy did it. And so you're able to step in and tell them. A lot of times it's just like Candace was saying, it's those relationships, but it's also what you do with that relationship, right?
Personal experiences.
That reality piece.
Yeah, and just and what I've learned, kids respond to energy.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
The energy you bring to any certain situation. So I had a situation the other day, and I had to tell a kid, hey, I'm not mad at you.
Right.
I'm mad at what you did.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I just need you to make better choices.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's over.
Yeah.
And it's,
and if you're real with kids, they know it.
They know
they're
it.
they're the quickest to figure out fake real quick. So.
And it's and I don't come from a place of I'm the adult, do what I say now.
Right.
Oh yeah, I don't. I'm not either.
Because it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And
It doesn't work.
You just have to be honest. Hey, this is what you did. Here are the consequences. Once again, I'm mad at what you did, not you. Now what are we going to do to fix it?
Yeah.
Right.
And let's move on from it and don't harp on it.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like we've had this conversation so much before, just talking, but relationships are so huge, and you can as a former teacher and a former administrator, you can just, it's immediate which teachers have those relationships, and because the kids are not just wanting to go in and battle them and try to irritate them and just make them mad. And, that's more fun than being respectful because their teacher loves them. I mean, it's just, and it's hard sometimes to get that across to other adults, because some adults I'm the adult, you're going to do what I say. And that's not me either. Right. I wasn't raised like that. I mean, partially, yes, but partially, you're going to learn from your mistakes, and we're all going to make them and things like that. But I just think that relationship is key. And you gotta,
and you have to know, and that's what I take pride in, because you have to know who's who.
Yes.
I have to know.
Yes.
The different situations that happen on a daily. Well, I have to know you in order to know how to deal with you, how to speak to you, how to get the right response.
That's right. That's right. You're right.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking to somebody just earlier this week about the number of young men that come to school, and they're hacked off when they get there because they don't have that male role model in their life. And when so it's real easy for them to displace a lot of that stuff on any kind of male authority figure in their life. So like you're saying, the earlier you can recognize that and say, hey, look, I'm here for you. I'm going to fight for you. But guess what? Fighting for you means you got to do your part. Yes, and that is just so incredibly important to get to know those kids.
Absolutely.
And part of, I mean, it took me a little while to get to that point too, because, again, like you said, I grew up with a loving mom, dad, supported whatever we wanted to do. And for the most part, I thought that was the majority of the world, but it's not that way, is it?
Right. No, not at all.
No, it's
not at all. Some of my kids come from situations that would put grown people in a tizzy.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
How do I figure this out while still figuring myself out?
Yes.
Right.
Know, being in a position, having to be the responsible one, and you're 11. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
It's pretty much the norm, which is sad to say, but that's where we're at.
It is.
Yeah. I was thinking this week was, I think it was this week, maybe earlier, but it was International Woman Hero Day or whatever. And I'm thinking, shoot, you ain't seen some of the heroes I've dealt with. These moms that, they are mom and dad, and they get those kids to school every day, make sure they're fed, and make sure they do right. And so, to me, I mean, I've met some heroes, and it's true what they say, that they don't wear capes.
Right. Right.
But hey, they make sure they do what they can to get their kids where they need to be, and so those are the women heroes that I've had the pleasure of knowing and working with throughout my career.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about we mentioned your mom a little bit, but she always wanted to be an educator, or
what she's told me, she's always wanted to be an educator. She used to love playing teacher and being a teacher, and then I want to say she started maybe in 98, 96.
Don't be looking like that was a long time ago now.
No.
Listen, because we started we started in 96, so you better be careful, Eric, or you're gonna be in trouble because we're gonna get you.
No, she started in 90 something, and then kind of. She worked at the high school for a long time, High Springs High School, and I know because so many, I was there, of course. Right. So many people come back and say, "Man, I miss your mom. Tell her how she doing, how she," and seeing that is like, it was kind of like, yeah, I want that.
Yeah.
But of course, I ran from it first.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But you see that that effect that she's had, and she did her 28 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And she went from high school went from the high school, and then she was ALE director, assistant principal at the middle school, and then she got hired on as the principal of the middle school, and then when COVID hit, of course, the learning loss, the money from the learning loss. So hey, we got a new job over here for you at central office. So she took that over for a year, and she said, you're 28.
Yeah, she said,
I'm out of here.
Time,
See you.
right? Yeah.
Right.
I know you talked about it going back when you started. You basically were there teaching with all of your old teachers. That happened to me too. I graduated from Malvern, and then after I got out of college, went back, and it was weird. I mean, not gonna lie, being there with all your old teachers.
It is.
Yeah.
But it was neat. They actually poured a lot into me, and I learned a great deal from them. So.
And then he had it real easy with his dad. Tell us what your dad did.
Well, my dad was he is a police officer with Hot Springs PD.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I bet you had to toe the line all the time.
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was no...
Police officer and educator. Hey, listen. Yeah.
and he's still on the school board today, right?
He is.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
He truly enjoys what he does. I don't think anybody would stay in a place for 20 some odd years, 19, 20 years, in a place that you
if you don't love it,
So you really got to love it, and I don't think it's just being a police officer wearing the badge, but actually helping
people. I was going to say, just I think educators as a whole, if you call to that, you just have that servant's heart. Even police officers, I feel, the same.
And that's what I started to say about his parents. All jokes aside, that's the thing that I've always appreciated about both of them. I mean, they have a heart for the community of Hot Springs. They pour into that. I mean, they're in for the community. Always have been since I've known them, and known them for quite a while.
Oh, definitely.
So you've got siblings, right? You've got
I have my brother Trey and my sister Jasmine.
okay. And they anywhere close to education or?
Yes. My brother's actually the assistant coach on the high school basketball team.
Yeah.
And he teaches health and PE. And then my sister is in either business, finance, or accounting. I can't keep it. But basically, she explained it to me once.
Right.
But what she does is the billing at UAMS. So she helps with some of the billing at UAMS.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what
2
we're doing.
out of 3 educators. Huh?
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
And we're trying to get on board. Instead of recruiting.
Yeah. Just keep trying. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So obviously, interesting times in the state of Arkansas. This Learns Act or whatever. And again, we're not political people when it gets right down to it. Like I told Candace, the old coach and me, I look at it. Now I know what the rule book looks like.
Right.
So I'm going to take that rule book, we're going to read it, and we're going to work it to our advantage, which is, as a coach, you're entrusted to do what you can to make your team be as successful as they absolutely can, right?
Right.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go in there. We're going to find out what we need to do to make our kids successful. A lot of good stuff in there.
Right.
And you know what? At the end of the day, this is how I look at it. I mean, kids are kids, and we got to do what we can to make sure that we do our best for them.
That's right. That's right. I can't. I mean, I hadn't. I honestly hadn't looked at it.
Right.
And I hadn't read through it. I plan to. I hear good. I hear not so good.
Right.
Yeah.
I just kind of,
There's some good.
Yeah.
There's some not so good.
Yeah.
There's some good.
Right.
I mean, that's just my opinion, but
Before I state my opinion on it, I want to be crystal
Sure.
clear on everything that's in it, and
Well, and the thing about school, again, being in it 27 years, this is what I'll tell you. I mean, we've seen some things come and go, but at the end of the day,
I need to get my notepad out.
well, yeah. But what I say at this is, the one constant is kids, right? And even with all the niceties and comforts that we've come to know in society, we still got kids coming to school that haven't eaten, haven't slept, things going on with mom and dad, and so those are the kinds of things I think that are always going to be there.
Right.
So, but I mean, we can somewhat discount that, but that is such a huge part of educating kids.
Absolutely. It's tough to tell a kid to focus when they haven't slept, or it's tough to they hadn't eaten, or they come to school and their hair looks a mess, or and you get all these signs, and I expect you to be this model student. Well, I got to
Right.
take care of your needs first.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think we do a great job of that, especially in our
Yeah.
district.
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
can't speak everywhere else, but I know
Right.
I know our district takes care of kids.
Right. And that's so imperative right there. And, in my opinion, I think, too, I think kids grow up a lot faster.
Yes.
In today's world.
Yes.
Yes.
I was driving in today just thinking about some of the stuff that kids are exposed to so much earlier, with social media and some of those type things. And, I don't know, it kind of saddens me a little bit that some of their childhood is stolen. You know what I'm saying?
It truly is.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not like you can hop on your bike and ride across town like we used to do.
Right. Right.
So,
Yep.
None of that. None of that.
so you talked about coaching a little bit. You still doing some of that?
I do Pee Wee.
Okay. Yeah.
I do Pee Wee, and then right now we are running a free skills and drills.
Oh, okay.
So taking what I
Oh,
learned
yay.
from
Yeah.
University of Tulsa and
Right.
all my different, my college experience, and kind of taking that and bringing it down and breaking it down for 3rd through 6th graders.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
that's
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Whether they're looking to play Pee Wee football, or basketball, or
Right.
we're
Yeah.
trying to get them all in one room.
Right.
The major go get them all in
Right.
one room, and hey, all y'all play all sports.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's build it all.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
That's
That's a
is-
good way to do that. Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
extremely gracious for just the support and the people that support, like Coach Burnett, Dr. Nahus,
Yeah.
Coach
Yeah.
Eccles,
Yeah.
Dr. Eccles.
Yeah.
Everybody's extremely supportive, and like
Yeah.
whatever I need, whatever is the facility usage.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, it's free.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else that's allowing
Right.
Yeah.
people to come into their indoor facility and
Yeah.
train and
Right.
be, and then trust me with kids that I don't necessarily see
Right.
on a daily basis.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm great. I'm grateful for all the people in my district, all the supporting cast. Mr. McDaniel helps me out. Larry McDaniel helps me a lot. So like I said, we're trying to build it. We take a lot of pride. We have a lot of community pride. He's a Trojan. I'm a Trojan, and we're just trying to build up our sports programs. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, build great people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
sure.
important do you think that is for those kids to be plugged into something else?
Well, it's because you got to look at the alternative. They be at home. They be
Right.
maybe playing a game all day or looking at something they shouldn't. They
Right.
have no business looking at.
Right.
So this gives them something, positive to do. Be productive and
Yeah.
see if this is what I want to do.
Right.
I want to be the best.
Right.
I point in case I had a kid who was on my 5th grade team. Hardly touched the field.
Right.
He just wasn't. He just didn't have it.
Yeah.
He went all summer, all spring, didn't miss a session. I started running back
Yeah.
in the 6th grade,
Yeah.
and he can tote the mail.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So and
Just needed somebody to believe in
that's it.
probably.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
That's all they need.
Yeah.
And take interest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, those are the kinds of stories that you just love to hear and see. And a lot of times, that's a great example. Some of these kids that you least expect. You hear it but to be part of that journey, man, it's
Absolutely.
just
Absolutely, and it's fun. I truly enjoy. I feel like this is my ministry.
Yep.
So that's why I do it. If
Yep.
it was about money, I wouldn't do it because it's
Right.
free.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like
That's
it's
great.
and it's fun for me, and it's something I can bring energy to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for
and
sure.
serve kids.
Yeah. Well, and I tell lots of we get a chance to talk to a lot of interns or soon-to-be teachers. But one of the things I talk to them about, and I know they're thinking, "Oh my God, you're so old school," but I really do. I encourage them to get them, a journal and sit down and start that process and write those kinds of things down because although you're feeling it in the moment, but when you look back on it, man, that's something that you'll have it right there, and it'll be yours forever. And of course, I wouldn't be as obsessive as I am because I get a chance to go out and speak and that kind of stuff. So literally, probably, I think I'm closing in on 30 journals, and my wife will be cleaning and go, "Why do you have this in here?" Because if I'm like I said, I'm old school. If a thought hits, I'll pull that out and write it
down.
And she's like, you've got 15 pages filled out in this one. You've got 2 in this. And I said, well, it's just, I got to make sure it's there, you know.
It's there if I need it.
Yeah,
You're like,
right.
don't throw them away. Don't
That's
throw them
right.
away.
Exactly. Don't throw them away. So, but have you had a favorite place that you've been, or you like me, kind of just the whole experience has been a great one, right?
Man,
The journey.
The journey has been great.
Right.
It's been fun. I mean, you look back at the mistakes you made.
Mm-hmm.
You look back on some of the success stories that you have, and it's all, like I say, it's all great. It's all part of the journey.
Right.
I've enjoyed every spot.
Yeah.
Like I say, especially in my district, I cannot speak
Right.
for every other district, but I
Right.
know for sure in my district it's a great place to work, great place to be.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that for just a second. A lot of folks, get into education, but not necessarily. And I know, like kind of like me too. But I mean, let's talk about the path that led you there. Number one, I mean, we know that path, but pretty intentional about coming home. Is that pretty important to you?
It is, it was, and I was at that time I was at a place wherever God leads, that's where I'm at.
Right.
If it's and I actually got an opportunity to go back to Tulsa. They were going to hire me instead of being an intern. I was going to be I was going to be a GA.
Right.
But something was like, number one, you kind of need money to live on your own.
Yeah.
And you're not making very much money as an intern or as a
Mm-hmm.
GA. And then I look, looking back, you're like, would I be here if I'd have taken that opportunity?
Right.
And the
Yeah.
answer is no.
Yeah. Right.
And we talk about that a lot, God just using people and putting them in different kids' or adults' place, in their lives, and you're there, and you never know who you're going to impact, and these kids that you have K6 that you could impact this little second grader, and you never knew it, and their lives changed forever,
Right.
for the good.
And I like all the artwork I keep.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Mr. Lennox, I drew you today.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
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 That's nice. That doesn't look like me at all, but I'm gonna put it in my desk. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, those are the folders that I had got that advice when I first started. Just keep it in a folder, and then when you're having a really bad day,
That's right.
take that sucker out. All you gotta do is look at one of them, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is the reason I'm doing this, and
It's funny y'all say that, because I was looking for something from back in the day, and I pulled that out the other day, and it just cracked me up. Some of the pictures and stories that I had. So,
yeah.
So on the personal side, kids of your own yet? Or,
No.
Huh?
I have about 600 kids I get to get back at this clock.
That's right.
No,
That's right. Yeah.
No kids of my own.
Yeah.
My wife got married August
Right.
2021. Of course,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was supposed to be sooner than that, but
Right.
of course COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of affected the guest list, and that affect so
Yeah.
I got some people still mad at me. Just know it wasn't my fault. COVID rules. I can
That's
only
right.
invite you.
Yeah.
You're
So-
like, love you, it wasn't my fault.
It wasn't my fault.
So she education or
No, she's actually a nurse.
Okay.
She's a nurse at CHI.
I got you.
that's
Okay.
awesome.
So-
Yeah, that is good. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, somebody pulls a hammy while you're working with them, she
that's it.
nurse them back, right?
Yeah. She tell them get over it.
That's right. I
Put some ice
find
on it.
yeah, I find that to be true. Nurses with athletes, that's usually how it is.
Yeah.
You ain't hurt, you ain't even injured. Put some ice on that stuff.
My
right?
cousin's a nurse. She said that to her daughter the other day. She's like, "Yeah, you're fine." And then she's like, "Oh gosh, I hope it's not." Like 2 days later, she's like, "I hope it's not broken."
Yeah.
I watched one of my school nurses, and she was like I'm panicking.
Yeah.
Kids look like he's having a panic attack. He's like, I can't breathe. She was like, "Sir, if you're talking, you're breathing. Like you're okay. Go back to class. Like you're fine." She said, "Sit down. You're fine. Get some water, and then we're gonna go back to class."
Oh,
gosh.
one of the worst stories I think about this. These kids at middle school, when I was at Lakeside as principal, these kids were throwing this little skinny kid up, letting him dunk, And I said, man, y'all need to knock that off. I said, number one, that kid weighs $105. I said, if y'all don't catch him on the way down, he's gonna break his arm. And I said, when that happens, don't come find me, because I told y'all, stop it, knock it off. And so anyway, I don't know, probably a week goes by, and they're looking for him, and they're like, hey, where's so and so? And they said, well, he was outside. And I go outside, and I find him in the fetal position behind the air conditioning unit, and his arm is some kind of messed up. And I said, what are you doing out
Oh,
here? And he had them
no.
big old alligator tears. He said, you told me if I broke my heart, don't come to you.
So he's hiding.
So I had to scoop him up. I said, boy, I didn't mean it like that. You know, it's a saying. So,
Right. That's how-
Take it literal, literally, yeah.
yeah, so I learned my lesson. I had to,
God.
you know. But anyway, we got him casted up, and he was all right for a little while. Well, let's get to the good stuff here. So
Oh.
we'll throw a curveball. or
He's
two
like,
at
oh,
you.
great.
No. So, you know, we try to mix it up, you know, coming in, you know, I listen to a lot of music, so my playlist is very eclectic, you know, like this morning, I don't know, I was clicking through some gospel, then I threw it on back to like some 80s country. And, you know, that's the funny thing about music. It's definitely an attitude changer, but even some of that 80s country, I mean, that was when I was in high school and doing AM radio, but I mean, my mind would just go back to some of those nasty old AM stations I worked at even, but the music was great. But so what, if we hopped in your ride and you took us around the block, what would we be hearing?
You want me to be honest with you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Probably a podcast.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, some gospel, some hip hop, some R&B.
Yeah.
Just like I say, it just depends on the day.
Right.
But mostly it's gonna be podcast or book or
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the podcast thing for me, I get into that. I mean, I go in spells, but mine's more like a true crime thing.
Yeah.
And how I got in on
No,
that.
I do not want to listen to true crime.
Beth Neal that used to work here. There was a couple that she found, and they were actually Arkansas cases, and I was like glued
No.
to them there for a while. So.
I don't want to know any of that crazy stuff that crazy people do that can happen to you. I don't want to know that. I mean, no.
Yeah.
No.
And then I'll find it, you know, like sports or something lighter, you know, some of
Yeah.
that stuff. So yeah. And then you know, so how long you been teaching now? How many years?
This is year of officially this is year 6 or 7.
Okay.
It's year 6 or 7.
So you've been in it long enough to probably have a good embarrassing moment. So think about that for a second.
Well,
He's like,
let's
which
go.
one? Yeah.
Which one? Probably my most embarrassing. You were a little short staffed, COVID time, had a few people out, a few of the cafeteria ladies out.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I got it. I'm going to step in. I'll help. So I'm cleaning tables and I'm wiping down tables, getting ready for the next crew to come in.
Right.
And of course the custodian had mopped that day.
Yeah.
Big old wet floor sign right there. Just, you know, but I'm in that mode. I got to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And I slip and I fall and I'm on my back, feet in the air. It was pretty bad. And I got, you know, of course, in front of all my kindergarten babies. Of course, they're going to ask me if I'm all right.
Yeah.
I think them asking me, am I okay, embarrassed me a little more.
Yeah.
It's not funny, but it is funny now.
Well, I got it on video. I'll show you.
Hey, if you send that to me on video, it might make a Monday email. I'm just telling you.
You got it. Listen, you got it.
Well,
because you got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Oh, you do. Like we say that all the time.
I told her, you know, the first year that Bruce Orr and I were at high school at Lakeside. I mean, we just, you know, principal's office was at the back of the hall, and his office was right there. But I mean, we were just like, I mean, we handled discipline as it came in. We had this kid come in, and I mean, he was just a clown. I mean, and so they'd send him down, and so I come in, and Bruce and I mean, we'd redone the offices, had these new chairs, and I mean, I sat down in this chair, and it goes, just tossed me right out. Yeah. And he's looking at me, and I've given him the what for, and I said, so you understand what I'm yes, sir. And I said another thing, and he said, what's that? And I said, you can laugh because you probably won't ever see your principal get dumped out of a chair again.
Right.
And he just busted out laughing. He said, are you sure you're okay? I said, I got this.
Gosh.
Congratulations,
That's
Bruce Orr, by the way.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him. That was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great for him.
Yeah. Well, jury's still out until he does good. No, he well deserved. I couldn't agree with you more. So, but you know, going forward, so plans for yourself. What are you looking for down the road? You think?
I'm shooting to get to that district office.
Yeah.
You know, because once again, why not?
Yeah,
why
right.
not?
That's
I
right.
mean, yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
And I'm learning, and as I learn, it's starting to make more sense. It always starts to make more sense.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right.
And you know, I had a great admin program at Henderson, Henderson State. That's what I did.
We did too.
Special education masters, and then I got of course my admin license. All of them are great. Dr. Wright, Dr. Gavan, Dr. Taylor, extremely helpful. And they just, like I said, they made sure you're on top of your stuff. But just, I mean, I plan on going back this summer and starting the EDD program through Arkansas State.
Gotcha.
Just getting registered, getting all my paperwork, documentation in order, and then I mean,
Awesome.
see where it takes me. You know,
that's
God will lead you where you're supposed to be. He
well,
sure will.
and like I referenced earlier, honestly, I think we're at a crucial time in ed leadership. We need people, number one, that's not afraid to step up and lead, but number two, that has the skill set and you know, that's willing to, like you're saying, to step up and say, hey, I'm that guy.
Right.
You know,
and me personally, I know, like it's such a blessing being a part of teams because I know this may not necessarily be my specialty, but here's where I'm good at, and that's where I'm gonna take. Now I'm gonna work on all the other stuff, but here's where I'm really good at. So I know my role, and you know, I play it well.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and we're blessed with the 22 districts that we serve. Honestly, I mean, I heard it right before we came in here. I was in a conversation, and the person that said that they'd worked here in the past and in another area, and they said, I'm just telling you, you know, that there's a huge difference between a school and a Dawson school. And I said, hey, you ain't gonna get no argument out of me, and because 100% we're blessed, and the big part of that is, I will say this: if the biggest blessing from a work standpoint or a school standpoint is how I wouldn't say that it forced, but is how the schools came closer together. I mean, there's still a little bit of friendly competition in there.
Always.
But when our backs were against the wall, I mean, from where we sat, man, it was just great to see the schools come together and work really hard with each other to make sure the kids were taken care of and safe, number one, but number two, just anything that needed to be done. It went away from being, you know, our kids so much as, you know, the kids here. We got to take care of them. And that was kind of a cool thing to watch.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So what about teachers in your life who had a big impact on you? And
the list goes on and on. I can start with my mom. Watched her do a lot of amazing things, and just watching the way people come back and request her and ask for her. You know, that lets me know that you've done something. Who else? I'm trying to think. Coach Hines. Coach Hines is a big influence in my life. Coach Hines. I was really blessed because I saw a lot of great men. You know, nothing against women. I had a lot of great female teachers. I had a lot of great men in my life. Lloyd Jackson. Dr. Lloyd Jackson, excuse me. You know, Dr. Lloyd Jackson, Morris McRae, Jim Gentry, Mr. Hatley. Mr. Hatley. Just a lot of awesome, Coach Timmons. The Barrett boys. You know, they're down there pouring, doing their thing. Just a lot of great men over time influenced just the way I operate. They showed me what manhood was, even though, you know, I had it at home. My dad was man's man. He shows you how to be a man. This is how you tie a tie. This is how this is how you speak. You know, when you're at an event, take your hood off, pull your pants up, keep them up, make sure your shoes are tied. How you look a mess, fix yourself. And then just like I've been blessed to have that, but there was no disconnect between home and school because I had the same thing at school. All for and nobody. There was never a day off. Also, Kelly Deerdorf. Kelly Deerdorf. Can't leave him out. He all my math teachers throughout high school were men. And it was, and I don't think it was just yes, it was men, but it was a certain type of men. I don't know if all of them were men of, I'm sure all of them are men of faith, but if, you know, not just men of faith, men of good character.
Yeah.
Right.
And they, you know, and they went on to do great things. So
Yeah.
I was extremely blessed to meet them at a time, you know, where some of them were just starting out, some of them had been in for a few years, and it was just, you know, I mean, it was a great experience.
Yeah.
Just to be around.
Did you
So.
try to get in any trouble when you're there? You know, try to rebel a little bit against your mama. Yeah.
Oh, yes, I tried it. I was.
He's like, we're not talking
All
about
right.
that on the podcast.
Oh no! I am an open book, and I do not mind sharing. I cheated on a test one time. You know,
Yeah.
I cheated on a lot of tests, but I got caught.
Yeah.
This time I got caught. Of course, I got a 0. Now, however, it was Miss Linda Litzy, and Miss Litzy was a science teacher. She was a science teacher, but I also went to church with Miss Litzy at the time.
Uh-oh.
So of course, you know, there wasn't too much talking. It's hey, you want to tell your mama, or do I need to? And of course, my mom's room is around the corner, so
Yeah.
here I go, taking the death walk. Okay, son, what do you need? I got caught cheating on the test. You what? I got caught cheating on the test. Speak up. I got caught cheating on the test. You did what? And so, of course,
Yeah.
I cheating on the test. And then on top of that, they were the wrong answers.
Oh.
Oh.
This was for next week's test. I had the answers for next week's test. So, of course,
Yeah.
so I got in big trouble for that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I hadn't been in.
Yeah.
I think we all have those stories.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It just makes it worse, I think, if
Yeah.
your parents are there.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
And of course, you get in trouble. You're embarrassed, but you try to assert yourself. Well, like, hey, I'm a good kid. I just
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
I still want to go to this track meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the answer was no.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And I would, you know what? That's probably one of the biggest blessings in my life. The word no.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No explanation.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you why.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And then just following through too. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's key.
But it's also good. That's also good principle material I used to use all the time. I said, look, you need to knock that off. I either did it, thought about doing it, or got caught doing it, you know. So, you know, you ain't
Yeah,
reinventing
yeah.
it. So,
Been there, done that.
that's right.
More than once. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, man, it's been a privilege having you come in
Yes.
today, man. It's awesome.
It's been awesome. I've enjoyed it. I love the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Meet
And
people
from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate what you do because,
Appreciate y'all.
again, I can't tell you over and over how much we need folks like you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And,
Amen. For sure.
We appreciate y'all.
Anytime, you know, you can get out there and encourage folks to get in it, stay in it. We're going to do it because,
Absolutely.
again, it's a critical time. It really is.
It is. They need
We got to have folks stepping up and leading. A lot of folks they want to step away from it, and because I think at this time it's just, again, I think we're not quite in the valley yet, but we're almost there. But I think we got time to pull out too, and a lot of that comes from, I think, just the fortitude to stay in there and stay with it.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of a lost art, but I see it coming back. So
Yep.
Most definitely.
I do too.
yeah. So any parting words from you, Dr. Bennett?
No.
None at all.
Not,
Man, hey,
not Dr. Bennett. They're
see,
just,
if I had my
they-
journal, I would write that down the day that Candace was speechless, because that's
No.
never happened.
listen, I have tons of nicknames because I look up the weather
Yeah.
and they make fun of me.
Yeah, that's
Because then I
Can-
look up
Candace
stuff about medical.
Ucopian over there.
Candy Ucopian has got the
Yeah.
weather today.
Yeah.
And then
If you really want a fun day,
it's called Google.
you need to ride with me to Little Rock when it's raining with her, my business manager, Veronica, and Nisi, our secretary over there. And because you don't, I mean, I just shut the navigation system off because I got 3 great
Backseat drivers. Listen,
yeah.
And everybody knows where they're
and
going.
Nisi
That's right.
was amazing. She drove. He had a Zoom, and
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not driving that big car. And
Yeah.
we all voted that she gets to drive from now on to Little Rock.
Hey.
'Cause, yeah.
No problem here, because I can't take the pressure of 3 women telling me how to get over there.
I know. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for you.
That's another podcast for another day. But, man, thanks for coming in. We
yeah.
appreciate you very much. All right.
Enjoyed it.
Thank y'all for having me.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this version of Spilling the Tea.